Good evening and welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum. Tonight we're going to hear from the candidates running for Oxnard Mayor. I'm David Marin, a member of the League of Women Voters, and tonight we have a special treat. We have Tony Biasotti from the Ventura County Star here as well to ask a couple of questions. The way this works is we randomly assign seats. We're going to begin with Rafael for our opening statements. We'll go down, and at the end of the night we're going to reverse it. But before we begin, it's my pleasure to introduce the co-president of the League of Women Voters, Kathy Morgan.
Thank you, David. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. And thank you to our candidates for running for political office. It's an important job, and we appreciate your commitment. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 with the mission of educating a new group of voters, women, who were granted the right to vote nationwide with the passage of the 19th Amendment. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization committed to providing voters with factual, non-biased information, and as such does not support a political party or a particular candidate. The League today continues with the mission of empowering voters and defending democracy by registering voters, providing information about the candidates and the issues, getting out the vote, and supporting fair and transparent elections. The candidate forums are an opportunity for voters to hear from the various candidates and to get the information they need to make an informed choice when they vote. We are glad that you're here tonight to hear from our candidates, and we are very pleased to have our reporter from the Star here with us tonight as well. We thank you, the Star, for their collaboration, and at this time I'll turn it back to David Marin. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. With that, we'll begin. We have 1 minute. Rafael, the timer's in front of you. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much, Mr. David Maron. Thank you for the California Ventura County League Women Voters. Thank you, Mr. Tony, for being here. Thank you, everyone that are present in this court. My name is Rafael Hernandez, and as you know, I'm running for city mayor. I have 25 years of experience on multiple business. I was GM for a financial shell company. I also am an accountant. I have 1 year of a civil engineer school back in Mexico. I am Mexican American. I'm proud to be Mexican. I also more proud to be an American because America has given me everything that I have, my education, what I have accomplished. And this is made me run for city mayor because I have seen my city going down for the last 30 years. I have, I believe, a bad officials in our government, and not everybody, but a few of them, they're not doing their job. They've been abandoned the south area of the city. They concentrate in one area, which is the north.
Thank you, Rafael.
And that makes me going through.
Have to stop you there. Thank you. Our next candidate is Carla Zamora.
Thank you. My name is Carla Alejandra. I was born in Zacapu, Michoacán, Mexico. My parents brought me to Oxnard 33 years ago. Thanks to the knowledge passed on by my family, peers, neighbors, and my lived experience as a poor woman of color living in the U.S., I have been aware of stratification and unjust disparities since I was young. In middle school and high school, I participated in student movements against local and national anti-immigrant rhetoric. I became a part of an organization locally against police brutality and for tenants and workers' rights. I graduated from Oxnard College and transferred to UCLA in my 30s, where I graduated in anthropology. Armed with the knowledge imparted to me through a critical theorist lens, I continue to use my skills in community research to investigate and critique Oxnard city administration and practices. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Luis MacArthur.
Hi, everyone. So I'm very enthusiastic to be here. Absolutely delighted to be running for this office. This is something that I've thought about for a very long time. I'm not just throwing my hat in. Those that are close to me know that I've always wanted to get into government. I've always been a public servant, always valued collaboration with others. I've been with the Oxnard Police Department now for 35 years. And the preparation that I did for this office is early on I went back to the Sol Price School of Public Policy at USC to hone my skills to be an effective government leader. Got a master's degree in public administration and a master's certificate in city and county management to make me a very efficient leader. And I believe that my enthusiasm, my energy and my commitment to public service would make me an excellent leader in public government. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Brian McDonald.
Sir, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. My name is Brian McDonald. I spent a total of 30 years with the Oxnard Police Department, retired in 2006 at the rank of Assistant Chief. I also spent about 35 years at Ventura College as an adjunct professor, teaching primarily in the criminal justice program. My educational background is I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Cal State Long Beach, a master's in public administration from Cal State Northridge, and a Juris Doctor, or Doctorate of Law, whichever way you want to call it, from Ventura College of Law. My wife and I have lived in this community for over 40 years, and we love living in this city. I was born and raised in Santa Barbara, but I like living here better. It's just a beautiful place to be. I believe in a strong business community, and when we have a strong business community, we generate local jobs and generate revenue that supports the local community. When business thrives, we thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Carla, we'll begin with you on the first question. This is about Measure O. Many of you may remember this was a sales tax issue passed many years ago. In the future, Carla, will you support the sunsetting when it does, or will you be actively promoting the extension of the measure for another 10 or 20 years? Share with us your views on Measure O.
I'm sorry, what, did you ask about supporting the
So
sunset?
Measure O was a sales tax measure.
Oh, the sales.
And when that time, it was for a set number of years. Those years will be coming to an end soon. Would you believe that that should be the end of it, or would you want to see the measure extended?
Well, the thing about me is that honestly, I currently don't trust the
Hold
city.
on one
to-
second, Carla. We're working through one little issue here,
Okay,
and
timer.
you are all set to go.
Thank you. One of my biggest critiques, right, that I always have with the city is that they don't manage the city money correctly, right? So I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little not trustworthy about the city actually allocating the revenue from Measure O properly, right? If the city uses the money properly, allocates it to projects that actually improve the quality of life for residents, then sure, yes, I'm all about that, right? But again, I don't really trust the city to use budget money or project money appropriately.
Thank you. And Brian, you are up next. Will you allow Measure O to sunset, or will you be for extending the measure for another 10 to 20 years?
No, I'd allow it to sunset. I think we're actually anticipating that it's going to sunset, and we're working towards that goal. We have Measure E that was instituted by the vote of the public that puts us in a pretty good financial position. And you have to remember that this city, for the first time in I don't know how many years, has a budget surplus of about $35 million. That's phenomenal. We haven't seen that in as long as I can remember, and I've only been here since 1974. But I think we need to be planning that Measure O is going to sunset and allow it to do so, and financially be frugal, fix our roads, do everything that we need to do to get us in good shape. And by the way, I hope you all enjoyed the drive down here, because Gonzales Road is all brand new. No potholes, no bumps, no nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, it should sunset.
Thank you. Raphael, same question. Would you want to see Measure O sunset, or would you be for extending it?
I will end up at the end of the measure, whatever year comes in, if the city doesn't grow no more than what it is right now. And I would like to see those funds going to, like I said before, to all the districts in the Oxnard city. So everything has to be distributed, for me, especially to the low-income communities like Colonia and others, you know, to be having the development of the streets, the alleys, they are in very bad shape, and to waste that money wisely, to take a look at the pennies that the city hardly, with the hard work, are making the contribution to this city, And I want to thank the small businesses for contributing to the economy and the hardworking people of this city. I'm applause and I pray to God for their safety and for continuing doing business in our city so we can continue doing the best for them too. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this point, we'll go to Luis. Same question to you, your position on Measure O.
Sure, I think Measure has given us an opportunity to enhance our services that we've been able to provide with some physical responsibility. For a long time, we were the lowest tax city in Ventura County. Now we're the highest. It's the half-cent sales tax, but I would welcome an opportunity to have a robust conversation with members of our community. I'm certainly staunch on keeping our promise, right? If the promise was that it would sunset, then we should keep that promise. But if we want to, as a community, make sure that we have our parks that are well-maintained, that are adequate for playing sports, if we want to make sure that our streets are well-paved, our alleys are being taken care of. We're a big city, so we have big city challenges. So I would really welcome an opportunity to just have a robust conversation with community members and get a buy-in from them as to what their thought is, whether or not we should continue to have sales tax, if it makes sense to them, or if we should allow to sunset given that we have excess monies now. But I certainly would like to see the city continue to grow. I think we have a lot
Thank you,
more.
Luis. Yep.
Thank you.
And a reminder to the audience, we have volunteers. We have these cards. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. A volunteer will bring you a card and pencil. We'd love to get your questions, and then just raise your hand when you're ready for them to pick it up. Luis, you're going to be up first, and this time we're going to go to Tony for his first question. It's probably on now.
We're good? No, I'm not.
Try that one.
Is this one on? There we go. All right. Try that. Okay, so last month, the median price of all single-family homes sold in Oxnard was $800,000. Last year, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment was $2,150, and the average two-bedroom was $2,750. Those have just been going up for years, but especially the past 4 or 5 years, and they're obviously, out of reach of many people in Oxnard. So what is something specific that is within the power of the city and the city council that can be done to bring down the cost of buying or renting or both, the cost of housing in Oxnard?
The reason I think we're all here is this is a beautiful place to live. We have a strong economy. We have beautiful weather. There's no reason why the Dallas Cowboys come and practice here, because it's beautiful. So it's no surprise the housing market is the way it is here in the city. But equally, I think as city government, we certainly have the responsibility in our permitting process to ensure that the jobs or manufacturing jobs that are brought into the city, that we argue and that we advocate for good paying jobs, union jobs, so that people can get the wages that they need to be able to afford homes here. But we also can, as a city, enhance our first-time home buyers program to allow first-time home buyers to be able to access and get into adequate homes in this city. So there's a lot that we can do there, but I think it's through aggressive initiatives for first-time home buyers. It is for advocating for good-paying jobs here in the city.
Thank you. And Rafael, you're up next. Please share with us.
Thank you, Mr. Tony, for that very important question to me, and also for my people in the city of Oxnard, the low-income and medium class. They can barely afford the rent. They have to work 2-3 jobs with their wife and kids. This is very strange, and this is the proof that our government doesn't function well. I wanted to see a government that worked for the people, not for themselves. I wanted to see everything, like I said in Espanol, parejitos, everything equal. The north, the south, the east, and the west. Everything has to be distributed equally to every single families of the Oxnard. The children of us in Oxnard deserve better life, deserve it better than this government. Please, thank you so much for the question, Mr. Tony.
Thank you. And Brian, same question to you.
I think there's a couple different approaches we can take. One, I sit on a board called Los Cortes, which is under the Housing Authority. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we partner with local developers or developers here to qualify for state tax credits to help lower the costs on the property and provide good, clean housing for low and moderate income folks. The other thing we have to do is have a strong business community. One of the best things we did was to bring Amazon back to the table after they left the first time around and convince them to build their facility here. They now employ 1,500 people out in the Sakioka Park, and they're good paying jobs with good benefits. And we partnered with Oxnard College to try and develop an educational curriculum so our folks, our citizens qualify for those jobs.
Thank you. And Carla, we'll wrap up with you on this one.
So my generation cannot afford to own a home in Oxnard. Future generations, our children, won't be able to own homes in Oxnard. The housing crisis isn't a crisis due to a lack of housing. It's a crisis due to the lack of ability for us to be able to afford homes and even afford rent. The rent caps that Oxnard passed aren't enough. Families are in danger of homelessness because they can't afford ever increasing rents. Landlords shouldn't be able to raise rent yearly at all. If landlords can't maintain the units they rent out without increasing rent, then they should look for a different source of income, quite frankly. Before new housing developments move forward, the existing housing complexes, especially apartments in South Oxnard, I'm thinking of Cuesta del Mar apartments specifically, need to be inspected and brought up to code and livable conditions because they are not.
Thank you. Brian, we're going to start the next question with you. As far as Oxnard, there's a couple of cultural landmarks, the Carnegie Museum and also the Oxnard Performing Arts Center. So as far as the future of the Oxnard Performing Arts Center, also called OPAC, will you share with us your vision for that facility? And as a reminder, the Oxnard Gem and Minerals Society is a nonprofit that's been supporting the OPAC since 1968. So Carnegie Museum, what can be done to preserve it and commit to bringing back the artwork? And what's the future for OPAC?
Sorry to say you're starting with me, David.
I'm sorry?
Are you starting with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you. I'll start with the Carnegie first. There's been a rumor going around that the city manager is going to sell the artwork. That's not true. The city manager can't do that without the approval of council. Second thing is that we are looking to reinvigorate Carnegie Art Center. We've increased the maintenance on the exterior and interior. We're bringing in more activity as soon as we can. So I think that building has a bright future in our community. It just suffered for a while. A lot of things have suffered between the pandemic and everything else. But if I have anything to say about it, we are going to keep Carnegie. We're going to keep the art portion of it and start doing more public events there to make it more profitable. In terms of OPAC, we're looking at reinvesting money there too. We just did a lot of the floors. We should have a seismic study coming in pretty soon to make sure that it's safe should there be an earthquake. I think we're on the right track with that. OPAC for a long time was losing money up to the tune of about $2 or $3 million a year.
Thank you, Brian. I have to stop you there.
Thank you.
And Luis, we'll go to you next. As far as OPAC, what are your views and the Carnegie Museum?
Sure, I'll start with the Carnegie as well. I visited the Carnegie. It's a beautiful museum and library. We proudly, it's bared on our police badge, is the Carnegie. I remember reading about it when I visited. Richard Haydock, the first mayor of Oxnard, asking Andrew Carnegie will donate $10,000 to open up the Carnegie Museum. So it's such a jewel to have in our city. And I think we need to be very creative, very innovative to go out there and aggressively write for grants to bring this museum back because it's a showpiece. I think it was the first building in Ventura County to be deemed a historical landmark. So we need to aggressively go out there and bring back the Carnegie to life. As far as for the OPAC, I think that is such a jewel as well in our city. I remember when Maricela, one of the Latin singers, came here. I think we need to have more of that. We need to make that place usable to where we can bring in on a regular basis comics, concerts that are an attraction for our local base here in our city.
Thank you. And Carla, same question to you.
So first, the museum. I believe that museums should be a place where we not only go to look at art, but we can create art as well. Oxnard has a plethora of amazing artists here. I am privileged to know a lot of them. But Oxnard artists have gotten the short end of the stick for years. The mural under the bridge over there by the library comes to mind. I definitely believe that the museum should cater to the Oxnard artists, the youth. As far as the OPAC, they have been doing pretty well at coming up with different events, shows. Like was mentioned, I also honestly would want to see different cons. They had an anime convention last year, but this year was over at Camarillo. So we should try to figure out what happened with that. We should try to bring it back here, really keep all of that stuff happening here in Oxnard, especially for the youth, for Oxnard youth artists.
Thank you. Raphael, same question to you about the OPAC and the Carnegie.
Thank you. There is no doubt that Carnegie is so beautiful. Like everybody says, I agree. But as you know, and I'm going back to the government, this candidate on my left, right, Mr. Brian McDonald and Mr. Luis MacArthur, they've been on the city, sitting down, doing what? I'm asking. Back in 1998, in the early 2000s, there were enough money to renovate those buildings and to beautify. At this time, the people in Oxnard should be enjoying. Where the money was, it was during the Tom Holden thing that the district attorney came and seized all the documents from the city of Oxnard. So I want to see those people accountable for the money that there was disappeared in those years. Every single time we have this one people inside.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Raphael.
thank you, sir.
Okay, we're going to go back to Tony for the next question. Raphael, you're going to be up first.
Okay, yeah, I want to ask about homelessness in Oxnard. The annual homeless count this year, they counted 752 people in Oxnard, the most of any city in the county. I think everybody realizes the real number is higher because you do a one-day count and you're never going to, catch everybody. The 433 of those are unsheltered. I know Oxnard has more shelter beds than it used to, so the number of sheltered homeless people has been rising, but the number of unsheltered really hasn't dropped. And so I'm curious what you think, and again, I'll ask something that's within the power of the city, something that the mayor or city council could actually do to address this problem, to try to, bring these numbers down and help people who are sleeping on sidewalks and parks and riverbeds and stuff.
Very important question, Mr. Tony. Thank you. My plan, if elected, if God permits, and the people of Oxnard elect Rafael Hernandez as a city mayor, I promise that I will bring a motto that is working very nice in Austin, Texas. The name of the community you can Google is Community Village. I want to bring that motto into our county, not in the inside city, outside the county, maybe 20, 30 miles away from city. I'm against building units for these people, the homeless, the less fortunate inside the city, and then putting low-income families with them. We're going to have a very, very hard issue of safety. So I want to bring that model to the county, and why not to the state, to remedy, to put the best thing for these people who deserve a second chance. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll go to Carlos, same question.
Criminalization of unhoused people isn't a solution. Wasting money on so-called sweeps that further harm and displace unhoused people are not solutions. The city has a commission on homelessness that has had no meetings in about a year. That commission needs to be revived with commissioners who are currently unhoused. Unhoused people deserve the autonomy and respect of being a direct part of decisions that affect them. Unhoused people have stated that the shelters in Oxnard are unsafe. Thorough investigations into the current shelters need to be made before opening new ones.
Thank you. Luis, we'll go to you. Same question.
Sure. As a current police commander, I've had a front row seat to see the social ills in our city. I started at a time when we didn't experience homelessness. And now here we are to something that's plaguing the entire state. Many of these houseless individuals come from out of state. A lot of them have mental illness, drug addiction, and I posture that I think many of them have lost absolutely free will. Oftentimes, we've tried aggressive tactics working with behavioral health to bring crisis intervention directly to them, because it's atrocious when you see the victimization and the crime within those communities. But oftentimes, they're unable to keep their appointments simply because of the mental illness or because of the drug addiction. But this is a problem that we as leaders of cities need to work collaboratively with our jurisdictional partners to bring in viable solutions to this problem. And that's something that we need to do very aggressively.
Thank you. And Brian, same question to you.
And when you look at the homeless population, there are some that are there because of what I like to call demons. And for years, we have used the old armory on K Street and provided them with housing during the inclement weather. And I've always asked, what are we doing to help them with their needs? And the answer was not really anything. We're just warehousing people. Well, now it's Second and B. We have a 5-story building that's going up. The city donated the property. Mercy House is building it and going to operate the program. And that program will be designed as transitional living with first floor providing psychological services, medical services, drug addiction, alcohol addiction services, and whatever else the people need. Then the upper floors will be the transitional living units where we can help people transition back into mainstream society and be beneficial and helpful and work so that they don't have to worry about homelessness anymore.
Okay, thank you. Carla, we're going to start with you on the next question, and let's see if we learn a little bit more about each of you as far as your vision. I want you to try and share with us your vision, Carla, for this city, not just next week, next year, but long-term, and in specific areas such as restoring the vitality in the city, bringing back Plaza Park as sort of a central hub for downtown. If you're elected mayor, how are you going to make that vision happen, and what is that vision?
So I take a lot of my inspiration and hope from the Zapatistas in Mexico, right? And their vision is wholly that the community makes decisions for the community, right? That there is a horizontal system of power, not even a system of power at all, it's just horizontal decision-making. I believe that Oxnard has not had horizontal decision-making for a very long time. I believe that the decisions that are made by those who have been up here in the city council seats for decades are so far removed from a lot of us who are living harsh realities and harsh struggles, right? A lot of us, especially in South Oxnard, a lot of us, especially coming from immigrant families, a lot of us who are still in the same living conditions from when our families first got here, right? I think that there definitely needs to be a reconnect between city officials and those of us that they are serving. I look forward to kind of like being able to have more people speak or even attend these types of meetings in the future.
Thank you. So Brian, what is your plan? What is your vision to revitalize Oxnard and also address Plaza Park?
It has to be a public-private partnership. And for years, I worked on the Salsa Festival Committee, which came to Plaza Park after being out in the harbor area for about 5 years. And the whole idea of that festival was to have good music, good food, and have a place where people would be drawn to. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, there were about 3 years of real rough times where a lot of the festivals didn't operate. We had the Strawberry Festival down at College Park. They finally just felt that they were too confined down there in terms of space, so they moved to the fairgrounds. But we need something that will be good, wholesome entertainment to get our folks out. I was a little saddened that this last time around, the Salsa Festival charged for almost everything. I think it needs to be free as much as possible. The city needs to be a partner in getting these things off the ground because we need a place for our families to get out and enjoy themselves, as a family unit.
Okay, thank you. And we will go to Raphael next. Share with us, Raphael, your vision for Oxnard, revitalizing downtown, the park.
My vision to Oxnard and my promise to Oxnard, if elected, is that I'm going to beautify the city and make the safest city in the state of California. I promise, and I will make sure that promise get through. I want to recognize only 3 members of this government, present government, which is Mr. Perello present, Mrs. Rose Chaparro, and another individual, which is Mr. Molina. 3 members that work hard, but they can do only so much because there is manipulation in the system. And this is very clear to all Oxnard. You see, our communities, the low-income communities that have left for decades, they haven't done anything. Mr. Perello is a fighter. I'm proud of you, senor. And I salute you. I salute you with lots of
Louis,
respect, sir.
Raphael, we need you to stay seated
Thank
for the
you.
camera.
Sorry.
Okay.
But
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
really, I'm very proud of those 3 members, not to the others. The first thing I will
Okay, I got
do
to stop you
is
there.
clean up.
You're out of time, Raphael. Okay, Luis, we're going to go to you next. Share with us your vision for Oxnard, revitalizing downtown, et cetera.
Sure. You know, I'm not a person that keeps a seat warm. If you Google me, you'll see all the innovative ideas that I've come up with and that I've implemented, from creating soccer programs, being fully engaged with the community. I'm just full of enthusiasm. I think we have so much potential in the city of Oxnard. Our downtown it doesn't represent really who we are. I think we need somebody with a lot of energy, a lot of motivation to come in and make that. It should be very family friendly, kid friendly. We should have, much like the collection of playground there, we should be aggressive in bringing in music and having festivals there, and having concerts there, and doing away with the barriers that oftentimes some of these promoters, like the radio stations, when they want to bring in various artists, they should be able to do that, and we should invite them to do that, and we should collaborate with them. You saw the Fiestas Patrias parade. How many people came out? We should cherish what's here in this city instead of creating obstacles for them. We have so much to offer, but we just don't do enough. I think sometimes we lack to recognize the identity that we have here in this city, and we should promote it, and this should be a cultural destination for everyone to come out and celebrate who we are as a city.
Thank you, Luis. We'll go back to Tony for another question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the unpermitted vendors in the city. I'm thinking particularly of the major food stands, the kind of outdoor restaurants that are unpermitted. There's been a little enforcement, I know. Sometimes they'll get shut down and they'll open up again later the same night. So I don't know how effective it's been. What do you think of the city's approach so far? Are they doing enough? Are they doing too much? What would be different? What would you like to see different if you're mayor?
And Luis, you're up first.
One of the things that I'm in favor of, for example, is we have taco trucks in our city. I think that's something to celebrate. I think that is part of our culture. And we have the clientele base here, as we can see the lines that form to enjoy some of these vendors. But certainly we have rules and regulations. We have permits that need to be obtained by a lot of these vendors. Conversations should be had with restaurants. I know that it impacts them, but certainly they can adjust to the market and have their own taco trucks if they want. But that we should differentiate that between a lawful vendor that is parked serving their food versus the others that come in from out of town, the illegal vendors that block sidewalks. That should not be allowed. There's some health concerns there with the food and the products, and they're certainly not contributing to our economy. I know they're hardworking people, but we should not allow that, and we should be more aggressive in our enforcement. We should enhance our code compliance and make sure that they run operations consistently so that these vendors feel supported by us, as opposed to us not responding and they're feeling ignored.
Thank you, Luis. Raphael, same question to you.
Yeah, I'll welcome them, all these vendors. I will welcome everybody, give licenses, and put them in a place, in a big lot, like a Swami for tacos, burritos, tortas, churros, elotes, everything not in the middle of the city, not next to the next corner of any restaurant, because really the restaurant people is complaining about them. So make it like a little Swami for them, and everybody here in the city can go and enjoy their food, the delicious food, really. That's what I will do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Brian, we'll go to you. Same
Nope.
question?
Thank you. When you look at the food vendor dilemma, generally the food trucks are licensed here in the county, they're inspected here in the county. They're legitimate. They pay their fees, they pay their taxes, whatever they have to do. When you see these pop-up canopies that show up in different parking lots, typically they don't have a license, a business license, they don't have a health permit. Unfortunately, all the health laws are relegated to the county of Ventura through public health. And you have to be a registered environmental health specialist to be able to enforce those particular laws. So the city has no authority in that particular area. We have some enforcement authority, but it's very limited. If I could get the message out to any of our community members, the big thing I would say is if it's a pop-up tent on a corner, don't buy their product. That's why they come here. They're not healthy, they're not safe, in my humble opinion. So utilize the food trucks that are out there that are legitimate licensed. You can see the permits on them, and that will eliminate the other people, hopefully.
Thank you. Carlos, same question to you.
So like I was speaking on homelessness and criminalization not being the solution, I have the same opinion on street vendors. Just recently, I was reading an article actually from the BC Star saying how the city decided to use several, I believe it was several million, I don't know, someone fact check me on that, I'm sure you will, of dollars to greenlight a program that will start this fall to crack down on vendors to fine them hundreds of dollars. They literally used money to like research and go out and be like, okay, you know, make a tally and a list like, oh, these vendors are here, because they're gonna start cracking down on these like illegal or unlawful vendors, right? Imagine if that money was actually used to help vendors or some vendors like pay for these permits, or to actually like figure out what's going on, or like why people are coming supposedly from LA. Like, imagine if we use money to like not criminalize people. Imagine that if we did that in Oxnard.
Thank you. And Brian, we're going to start with you on the next question. As far as the youth of Oxnard, they have one of the largest populations of youth per capita in this county. Share with us your vision as far as your experience working with youth, programs you'd like to see put in place for our youth, and to protect our youth. Is there something you can do about the opioid and fentanyl epidemic?
Well, we have to recognize that the youth are our future. And it's incumbent upon us as a community and as a city to make sure that our youth grow up in the proper environment and do the right things and are properly set up to go and step into our roles later on. We have a deficiency of parks here. And I heard the discussion earlier about sports park not being online, and we have plans for it. We could do something, but unfortunately, the city usually bonds for something like that. And it would be like buying a house. When you get ready to buy a house, you get a loan, you put the money down, you do that, and then you pay it off over time. That's what a bond is. Because of litigation by one or two of our residents, we're not able to get bonds at this point in time. So we're unable to do a lot of public projects. And we need to have the recreational activity for our youth so they can learn sportsmanship, camaraderie, and teamwork, because those are all the keys to a successful future.
Thank you. Luis, you're up next. Your views about working with youth, experience that you may have working with youth and protecting them from fentanyl and opioids.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody here that's worked harder than I have working with youth, by far. I'm not a person that sits back and let another organization provide those services, though I think it's great. But when I see something, I fix something. I started when I was the co-director of the Police Athletic League. I started a soccer program that, and within 2 years, we ended up having 300 teams formed with 10,000 participants every weekend. Currently, I started another soccer program we play at Oxnard College every Saturday. We have 400 kids in that. And the whole purpose of it is to create a familiar atmosphere for kids to create friendships, for families to come together. So these kids will know each other in high school and so forth. But that, sometimes some of our laws are really antiquated. We can't sit here and say that we have parks when we have still policies in place that when it gets dark here with time change coming up in October, the parks become dark and kids can't use that. Those are antiquated. We should look at investing in lights for these parks so kids can enjoy those fields.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to Carla, your views and experience working with youth and fentanyl.
So I guess I would like to still consider myself an Oxnard youth, but being in my mid-30s, I don't know about that anymore. I do remember, however, being younger, around 10, 12 years ago, coming to city council meetings, speaking in front of some of the people up here about certain issues with police brutality, tenants' rights, field worker rights, and being shut down, right? Speaking on other issues that were affecting Oxnard youth, and being told that we're too young, that we don't know what we're talking about. I mean, the city's going to have a presentation from UCLA, Go Bruins, that's regarding the Oxnard youth. The fact of the matter is that we as Oxnard youth have been speaking up about what's ailing us, about our struggles for decades, but we're shot down. We're told we're too young. We're told that we don't know anything, that we don't know how this city works. So I think, honestly, before anything, I feel like we need to actually listen to what the youth is saying.
Thank you. And Rafael, we'll finish up with you. Share with us your experience working with youth and protecting them from drugs.
My main thing is, if elected, listen to the community, listen to the parents of those kids, those teenagers that need much sports. The parks in the city are in very bad shape. We need to restore those parks. And there was money, but unfortunately, our city officials, they raise out their salary between themselves. You, the public, you, the people of Oxnard, don't know what's happening in closed doors between these individuals. They raise up any time that they want. They raise up the salary, and when they want to leave, they even raise it more, so this person can go home and have better life with your money, with my money, with my tax money, your tax money, people. Please open your eyes and stand for your rights and speak loud. Those are your tax money that goes somewhere else. We need to invest in our community and our children. Please, we're losing our children into drugs very badly. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. We're going to sort of blend some of your questions with Tony's. Didn't really tell you about that, Tony, but we'll do it. So the questions are, the city's budget is about $750 million. So we have several questions just about the budget, your experience with budgeting, dealing with things like that. And I'll let Tony piggyback on his question regarding the how the city receives money from Amazon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, mine was just whether you think the city is perhaps too reliant on Amazon for its sales tax revenue. That new facility generates, I think it's like $17 million a year for Oxnard, which is a big, that's like half of that budget surplus. So yeah, I was wondering if you think that's a problem in any way, as much as money can be a problem for the city.
So Carla, we'll start with you. Your thoughts about the amount that the city relies on the Amazon money and just the experience you have with budgeting and your views overall.
So I forget if I mentioned earlier, but in case I didn't, I've been attending or watching or just listening to city council meetings and also commission meetings for a very long time, which is funny because I think someone earlier, one of the candidates, said that they were like at one point the only person from South Oxnard who would attend or watch city meetings. But anyway, yeah, like I said earlier, the city does not, it misuses the money. I mean, there was like the other day or a while ago, they were saying like, oh yeah, let's put like several $1,000s for like to beautify like the tourist signs or like signs that are appealing for tourists. I'm like, okay, I guess, what about us? What about the people that live here, right? Several $1,000s would have done a whole deal. As far as Amazon, I mean, they're relying on a company that is infamous for exploiting workers. So, I mean, I don't know how proud I would be of that or relying on that.
Thank you. And Brian, we'll go to you next. As far as the city budget, the amount relying on Amazon, your views for fiscally managing the city.
Thank you. I can tell you that the city is not relying on that money from Amazon. And there are a couple reasons. One is there's legislation pending, and I don't know what the status of it is right now, that will take away about 50% or 40% of that budget money, or that tax money rather, revenue, and spread it among other jurisdictions that where the products are ordered from. So we recognize that as a city. We know it's coming. We just don't know what the final form of that is going to be. So we're already planning that as we move to the future, we are fiscally conservative. We're protective of what we have now, and that we anticipate that some of those resources are going to shrink, and we need to plan ahead and be ready for it instead of getting to the point where we panic, lay off people, close facilities, and do some of the stuff we've always done in the past. So we're working diligently on the front side to try and make sure that does not happen.
Thank you. And we'll go to you, Raphael. Share with us your experience with budgets, your thoughts about the city's almost $750 million budget and the issue with Amazon.
Like I said at the beginning, I'm an accountant. I know how to do check and balances, how to do year, quarterly, losses and profits of the city. I will implement more regulations for those businesses, and I will open the doors for Oxnard to small and large investors so we can create more jobs in our community. That's much needed. I also wanted to improve the parks so our kids, the children of Oxnard, practice all the sport of their preference and have multiple places like the buildings. Oxnard has multiple monuments and buildings that are empty right now that are not using for anything. So we need to restore those and put it up there for the students, for the public to use it for events, for playing guitar, for singing, for writing books, for whatever. Those are empty and that we just losing tax revenue for everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. And Luis, we'll wrap up with you. Share with us your experience with large budgets and also your thoughts about Oxnard size and your views about working with the Amazon's income.
Sure. As an executive member of our police department, that takes a little over half of the city's budget for police protection services. I have a great deal of experience working within budgets, managing monies, writing grants, managing grants. So I have that experience in dealing with budgets. I don't believe that the city is over reliant on taxes coming in from Amazon. This is certainly what has pushed us to have the surplus that we have. But I think certainly there should not be that reliance. I don't think there is now. But one of the things that we should focus on is our permitting process. There's a lot of businesses that want to come to do business in Oxnard, but we all in the city have heard how difficult it is to get permits. And that's something that we should get the technical expertise to make sure that our staff is adequately trained to make sure that we can streamline the permitting process so that we can entice new businesses to come in the city to pay good wages.
Thank you. We're going to begin closing statements in just a moment, but before we do that, I'd like to recognize our volunteers from the League of Women Voters. We have Carmen, Cheryl, Kathy, and Kathy, Wayne, Pat Essick, Pat Butler, and Sage with us tonight. So how about a round of applause for those candidates? Candidates, I was unable to get to many of these questions, issues about the city, immigration, issues about collaborating with the school district, issues about making it easier for businesses to relocate here, and many other questions. Sorry, we didn't get to those. We're going to do the closing statements in the reverse order that we did earlier. Brian McDonald, you're up first whenever you're ready. 1 minute.
Thank you. The one thing I like to tell people is you have to remember that being in the political arena is like team sports. And me as an individual council member can't do anything unless I get 3 other people to agree with me. So it's a lot about collaboration, building relationships, both within and without the city. I'm happy to be endorsed by all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. I'm endorsed by public safety unions, both police and fire. I'm endorsed by labor. And I just think that attests to my ability to reach across the aisles and talk with people and form collaborative arrangements so that we get stuff done. As an individual, I'm not worth anything, but as a collaborator and a team person, I think I'm worth a lot. I've done this for 16 years. I think I have an excellent reputation, and I look forward to moving this city forward as the mayor who collaborates and builds relationships among all the local jurisdictions in the community.
Thank you, Brian. Our next candidate is Luis MacArthur.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, I appreciate everyone's time and effort to be here to hear us all out. Look, I'm full of enthusiasm, full of energy. I think we need an aggressive full-time mayor to come into this role that has a vision. My lived realities are like many who live in this city. I am a servant leader. I'm a good person who's full of compassion and collaborates well. That's why it's no surprise if you see how much walking I'm doing. I've got a lot of youth involvement from the various high schools supporting me. I've got local organizations supporting me. I'm endorsed by various neighborhood council members who are out here walking along with me because I think they're eager to see some change. They're eager to get somebody who is aggressive and can be a full-time mayor because that's what this city deserves. I've got a lot of ideas. I'm an innovator, and I'm a person that can build consensus as testament by the people that are out there walking with me, hearing directly from the people. So I'm going to be one of those persons that listens to everyone and considers their input. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Luis. Our next candidate is Carla Zamora.
Free Palestine, free Tigray, Sudan, Congo, and all people experiencing genocides fueled by imperialism and still by colonization. All solidarity with the unhoused people the city chooses to criminalize and many demonize. All solidarity with the undocumented, largely indigenous people working in the fields and empacadoras of Oxnard. Power to the families of victims of police brutality by the OPD. All power to the children of Oxnard who grow up in overcrowded homes because families can't afford rent and groceries by themselves. May I find all those who resonate with these words, and may we build networks of support and care that render oppressive systems and those who reinforce them obsolete. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will move to our next candidate, Rafael Hernandez.
Thank you. Citizens of Oxnard, please vote wisely and choose your elected representative, please. Do it wisely. I'm here for you. Rafael is from this town, and I'm here to serve you with honesty and integrity. Don't let these officials to keep manipulating the city. We just lost the Strawberry Festival thanks to them, to the good management. And we don't want to keep losing anything from this city. We want to bring more businesses so our economy can grow and distribute those funds equally in the areas that much needed. Please do it, and I hope I can count with your vote. Vote Rafael Hernandez for city mayor, Rafael for mayor. You can find me in my web pages. Thank you so much.
Thank you. How about a round for our candidates and our special interviewer?